What is going on, everybody? This is another challenge tutorial on pawn endgames. We're going to jump right into it. Only thing I'm going to tell you is in the description there will be a link to the playlist with all of the other challenge tutorials. Check it out. Kicking things off with a position with white to move, we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to c6. King a6 does work, but it'll take twice as many moves to checkmate the black king. That is because after the king moves to b8 and you push the pawn to b7, the black king has access to the middle of the board, and it'll take a lot more moves to hunt it down and corner it once again. As opposed to going to the c6 square, black will still go to the b8 square, but now you block off the black's king from accessing the center of the board through c7. So we'll give you 3 more seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is pawn to b7, forcing the black king to the a7 square. We'll give you another 3 seconds to pause the video for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to c7, and the black king has one move, and that is a6. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is pawn promotion to a queen on the b8 square, and the black king only has one move. That's a5. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is queen to b3, forcing the black king back to the a6 square. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video one last time. 1, 2, and 3. There are 2 different ways to end this. The first being queen to b6 checkmate, or you can get away with the sneaky move, queen a4 checkmate. In this position, it is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move which will get the job done the fastest is promoting to a queen on a8, and the black king will capture the queen, and it is white to move again. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is king to c6, and the black king is forced to b8. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is pawn to b7, forcing the king to a7. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. And you want to bring your king now up to c7, forcing the black king down to a6. Give you 3 more seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. The move is promoting to a queen gets the job done the fastest. Just like the first puzzle of the video. Finishing out, the black king will go to a5, and we'll finish this up for you since we had this exact same position. Queen goes down to b3, black king is forced to a6, and then you can checkmate on either a4 or b6. In this position, it is the exact same one as we just had last problem, but we're doing something different. Instead of finding the best moves like we just did, there's actually one move from the starting position that will not win the game if black plays properly. So we'll give you time to pause the video. Do so now. And once again, it is a reminder that you are not finding the best move. You are finding the only move, which if black plays properly or the best moves possible, it is impossible to win with white. Only one move. All other moves can potentially lead to a checkmate. 1, 2, and 3. That move is pawn promoting to a bishop, and that is because the black king can capture the other pawn, and one bishop is insufficient material to checkmate. A knight is also insufficient material to checkmate, but if you do promote to a knight, you noticed it now covers the pawn on b6, and the black king can no longer capture. In this position, it is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. If you were thinking just capture the pawn and black will capture yours and it's a draw, you can do better. The proper move is marching your pawn to d6, and black will bring their pawn to h3. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is pushing the pawn again to d7, and black will push theirs to h2. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. Proper move is promoting to a queen on the d8 square, and black promotes a queen on the h1 square. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. Proper move is queen to a8 check, and regardless of where the black king goes, you capture the black queen after, and checkmate will be soon to follow. It is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is king to c6. They'll bring their king to e4, and the reason why you can't bring your king to c5 is because they'll bring their king to e4, and you don't have any squares that remain protecting the white pawn, and you're forced to move it out of the way, and black will capture. So after you bring the king to c6 and their king goes to e4, we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. Proper move is bringing the king down to c5 now, and their king is forced to walk away from the black pawn. Once they do so, regardless of which square they go to, you can capture the black pawn, and you should be able to promote easily, no problem from there. It is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. You want to push the middle pawn, so b6 is the proper move, and it doesn't matter which pawn they capture with, it's symmetrical. We're going to do the a pawn to b6, for example, and we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. The best way to remember this is you always want to form a 2x2 pawn cube. So I'm marching the c pawn to c6. That makes the 2x2 pawn cube. And if black captures the pawn, we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video to figure out the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. That's right, pushing a6 will get you to promotion before black can. And for some reason, if they don't capture the c6 pawn and they want to be hairy and capture the a5 pawn, then you can take your c pawn, capture b7, and you'll promote out of them regardless. In this position, it is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The only move that leads to a victory is pushing the top b pawn to b7. And black only has one move, that's king to a7. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. The only move that works is promoting the pawn to b8 and sacrificing it and letting the king recapture. It's a forceful recapture. Black doesn't have any other option. The reason why other moves don't work, the only move that you have to protect the b7 pawn is c7, and that leads to a stalemate. Any other square will just give up the b7 pawn, and it's impossible to promote the b5 pawn if you are not in front of it. And the only squares that your king will remain in front of it, it's impossible to forcefully promote because you can't protect it and stay in front of it at the same time. Backing up, pushing the pawn to b6 also doesn't work because black can just tuck itself on b8, and you basically have to back out, otherwise you have a stalemate and give up the b7 pawn. And once you do that and they capture the b7 pawn, you are no longer in front of the b6 pawn, which prevents you from forcefully promoting. So as we said, after you promote the pawn and the black king captures, we're going to give you 3 seconds to pause from this position for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to b6, grabbing the opposition. And black is going to go ahead and go to c8, since it'll extend the inevitable checkmate by 2 moves over the move king to a8. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to a7, and the rest is history. You now cover the 3 squares that the pawn needs to march by to promote, the b6, 7, and 8 square, and checkmate is soon to follow. In this position, it is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to d2. And the black king will go to c6. The reason why bringing the king up the main route to c2 doesn't work is because once you move forward again, the black king can grab opposition no matter what you do, and you're not going to be able to access the 4th rank. So once you go to d2 and the black king goes to c6, we'll give you 3 seconds to pause for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. Yep, you got it. Move is e3, and the black king will now go to c5. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. And now you got to bring the king to e4. And the black king will go to d6 now. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. You got to get in front of the pawn on d4. And the black king will sidestep and go to c6 now. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. The move is flanking and going to e5. Black king will now go to d7. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Bringing the king back central to d5. And the black king will sidestep to c7 now. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. The move is flanking and going to e6. And now the black king will come down to c6. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is pawn to d4. And now the black king will back up. Go to c7. And give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. You want to push the pawn again, bringing it to d5. And the black king will now post up on d8. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. You want to post up and gain opposition on d6. And the king will sidestep to either c8 or e8. We're going to do c8. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. That allows you to flank on e7. And now your king covers the 3 critical squares that your pawn needs to traverse to promote to a queen, and checkmate will soon to follow. In this position, it is white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. If you thought that bringing the king in directly as soon as possible to cut off the black king, that is the wrong move, because you also have to prevent the black king from accessing the a6 square. And the only way to do that is pushing your pawn to b5. From here, the black king will go ahead and move over to c7. It is white to move again. We'll give you 3 more seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is not d5, because that allows the black king to gain opposition through d7. And from this position, since black has opposition, there is no way to break ground and gain any more progress. So the proper move is king to e5. And from here, the black king will push to d7. Give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. Now you can bring your king to d5. The black king is not going to go to e7, because then it'll let you squeak in and capture their pawn. So they're going to back out to c7. From here, give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is flanking and going to e6. And the black king is going to go ahead and go straight up to c8. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Just want to close that distance and bring our king to d6 now. The black king will now go to b7. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is king to d7. And the black king has 3 spaces available, but we're going to go ahead and choose the b8 square. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Best move is king to c6. And the black king is now going to go to a6. 7. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. We just want to do a waiting move, so bringing the king to c7 will force the black king to the corner. We'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now we can go ahead and capture the pawn on b6, and the black king will now go over to b8. We'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. It is quicker bringing your king to the a6 square rather than the c6 square. When you go to a6, the black king is not going to go to the corner to a8 because that would be a faster checkmate. It's actually going to go and run to the middle of the board through the c7 square. And once you do that, we can simply grab a7, which controls the next 3 squares that the pawn has to march through for promotion. We're going to finish things out with a pretty tricky one. It's white to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. Take your time on this one. 1, 2, and 3. King to b5, and the black king will go to c3. Give you 3 seconds to follow up on the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. King to c5, and the black king will go to d3. Give you 3 seconds to follow up on the continuation. 1, 2, 3. King comes to d5, and the black one goes to e3. Give you 3 more seconds. 1, 2, and 3. King to e5, and king to f3. Give you 3 more seconds. 1, 2, and 3. King to f5, and the black king will go to g3. Give you 3 seconds to follow up with the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. This is where things switch up. You cannot continue to move with the king. The only move which will win is the tricky move h6. That forces the black pawn to capture, otherwise you would have a passed pawn. So black is going to capture, and we'll give you 3 seconds to finish up with the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. Since you can't bring the white king over to protect the white pawn, since the black pawn covers g5, marching up the pawn to h5 is a winner-winner chicken dinner. And the black king will go to h4, threatening to capture. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. King to g6 is the move to be. And the black king will now scooch over to g4. Give you 3 seconds to pause for the continuation. 1, 2, and 3. Capturing the black pawn on h6, and the black king will now come over to f5. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. The white king comes to g7, and the black king will close in on g5. Give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. You got it. Pawn to h6, and victory will be yours very shortly. All you gotta do is march the pawn to h7, h8, get a queen, and checkmate will be soon to follow. I hope that you learned a little something from this challenge tutorial. I'm probably going to do another one of these in the future, but it's going to have more pieces on the board, but it'll still maintain the pawn endgame kind of mojo. This one mainly had either 1 pawn, 2 pawns, or 3 pawns. The next one will have several more. Once again, thanks for tagging along, and I appreciate every one of you. I will catch you guys all on the next video. Adios.